This is, as I was hearing you talk to you, this is the part where I'm perplexed. I feel like this is my perplexed episode, right? Because, like, for example, biology tells us that, let's say, for example, a young lady can have children at a very early age, like the cycle begins where her body's prepared, right? But you mentioned like the, frontal cortex, whatever the fuck you call that at 25 doesn't fully develop, right? Cool. And then around 35, it becomes high risk, right? So it seems like if I'm going to follow that logic, maybe the first 12 years, what's even the point? Right. And then you have 10 more years of fruitfulness when if we're judging when we should do certain things by this whole prefrontal cortex thing, right? Because for me, looking back on human history, I don't know that the cavemen were like, hey, knock, knock. No, I don't think people were doing that. Like, no, I don't think they had the language. But now we got prefrontal cortex, whatever lobe that they're right. But anyways, so that's why I say I'm perplexed because when we use this argument, and the funny thing is, because I am for people getting married younger. And I do think 28, 32 is a good sweet spot because of where we are in the modern world. Do I think ideally it's a sweet spot in general? No, I think it should be younger, right? This is somebody who got married at 27 and my wife was 24 when we got married. Ironically, when we kind of reached maybe a different point in our relationship, both of us would have been in this 28 to 32 range. But we were married to get there. There's a possibility that had I not been married around this time, I don't know that I would ever be married necessarily, right? Especially when how things are trending in terms of telling people, oh, you got to do this first. You got to get your career first, right? The way that we socialize young people, I think we really got to look at that overall if we're going to have this conversation. If a person is expected to join the military, not expected, if a person can make the choice to join the military at the age of 18 and fight and kill for their country, there's a certain level of expectation that we're having for them. Whether or not their prefrontal, whatever the fuck you want to call it, is, developed or not, right? Or when they choose to, drink alcohol. So we give young people a lot of responsibility that we don't prepare them for, is what I'm saying. Right? I don't think that the traditional model of having to go through 18, many of us didn't even learn how to balance a proper checkbook, even with 12 years of a fucking education in front of us. And so now these kids got so much more to learn, so much more they're being exposed to. When I was growing up, we had to sneak magazines to look at porn. Now it's on X. The fuck? It's funny because my kid is 4, but he looks like a fucking teenager. Like the way he moves around, it's not regular 4-year-old shit that used to be back in the day. He's having moods and he's communicating about his feelings. What the fuck is going? He's not even 4 yet. So what I'm saying is that we're the ones who want to advocate for this moving the shit back when we really need to be moving the shit up some, including marriage, right? But here's what I like about the stat though, because if a person is 28 getting married, I would suggest you get to know the person at least about 3-4 years before you say I do. Me personally. Some of y'all can discern a motherfucker in 1 year. Okay. Good luck with that. But some of us need about 3-4. And even for those of us who had 3-4, we still need about 3-4 more to be sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, I met my wife, we was dating for about 3-4 years. I loved her, my God. And then we were married for about 4. It was like, touch and go. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I feel like the reason why the age to me is less important than how we mature, how we teach, how we grow people to be prepared. Right. So I do think that the age makes sense because that's just where we are. But what doesn't make sense though is if you're a woman at 32, want to have kids, and let's say you want to do it naturally, you want to have the full and natural experience. So now you got to meet the dude, build a relationship, get with him, have a relationship, maybe have a marriage and then have kids. Like, how does that math add up? I know the science is changing the game. Listen, I'm a person, we're a family who benefited from that, but we were fortunate. There's a lot of people who go through the IVF cycle, multiple of cycles, some of whom don't have the money for that. So for all y'all just thinking that y'all finna have the outcomes that you might see on Instagram, I hate to break it to you. That's not always going to be the case, right? So I hear y'all because I think it does make sense. I'm just saying we can raise our kids to be smarter, to be better prepared, to make better choices, right? And if marriage, which I think, it's funny because the other day, like I am conscious of showing affection in front of my son so that he can see what this looks like. I am happy that I can be here and maybe be a model of, hey, this family thing is a bit of all right. You know what I'm saying? You might want to try it when you get older. So I hope that for him, he's going to be more mature than I was, more prepared than I was, but he might even be the same age, right? 27, 28, because he met Shorty, right? They built together for about 3, 4 years and he recognized the value. And I'm going to say this and land on this particular point. Y'all don't recognize that this is the most fruitful years to find the type of nigga that you say you want, low key, right? Because some of y'all want the end, but y'all ain't there yet. You know what I'm saying? So when you're both kind of at a stage in life where y'all both like, hey, look at the world, we outside, we building, you might have be more open to building with someone. I think it's a great time to build with someone. I get why you might not want to be 35 building with somebody, but 20 something, 25, it's the best time to build with somebody. You know what I'm saying? So I would just encourage people to like, young people in particular, and I'll land with this, even though I said that before and I lied. There was a young man that was at Best Buy. I ended up buying a phone today from him. And you know why? He asked me what I do. I said, hey, I do marketing. I got a podcast. What is it about? Like, it's about relationships and marriage. He's like, yeah, you know what? I'm with a girl right now. And I think I'm going to marry her. He was like maybe about 20 something, right? It reminded me of why I do this podcast, right? Because it's like we want to encourage young people not to turn away from marriage. Marriage is a beautiful thing. It's just that I think people put it in a certain box. And it doesn't have to be in that box. I'm going to wait till I have all my ducks in a row and be a perfect man to finally settle down. It don't got to be that, fam, right? Because nobody's expecting you to be perfect in your 20s. You can fuck up a little bit and still build something in your 20s. When you get to be in your 30s, not so much. So why not? So anywho, I bought the phone. I was there for an hour, and I hope he marries that girl, because if he does, I'm going to find him. You lied to me to sell me these goddamn phones, but go ahead. I'm sorry. It was a tangent.
I have a little bit of pushback in regards to the
Push
whole,
back there.
first of all,
You
first
like
of
that?
all,
That was nice, right? That was, no?
it was a
Okay.
good little razzle dazzle. I see.
A little razzle dazzle, a little
Uh,
something different? Okay, thank you.
black people never lived in caves. First of all, that's the first thing. We were hunters and gatherers, and that matters. And then I think what you literally kind of proved my point talking about the evolution and the changes over time, because what has the brain in the last 2 million years done? It's evolved. And so, yes, it does matter that now today we can consider the prefrontal
Now
cortex.
you having a hard
Now you
time.
got me messed up. And consider these things as good factors when we think about kind of what marriage looks like, because you want someone who is a good decision maker. You want someone who is a leader. When you try to marry someone at 21 and 22 and expect him to lead the house and know exactly what to do, then you might be leading yourself down a road of disappointment. I had a crackhead tell me on like year 4 of my marriage, no lie. He said, when you reach year 5, that's when you know you can make this last for forever, but not until then. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, because in 5 years, you've endured and went through everything, the ups, the downs, money issues, whatever else may come, and you've learned how to work through them. And at that point, you can say this is a true marriage. But keep in mind, people go back and get their vows renewed and all that stuff. People think that it's just a token of appreciation or love, but really, it's because the person you are today is not the person that I married 20 years ago. I want to marry and commit to this person that you've grown into being while we've been together, and say that I love you just as much as I loved you then, even though you've changed. And that is the premise of a vow renewal. So I think when you think about like the brain and how it works and how it contributes to emotional stability and regulation, if you want a good partner who's not toxic, who's not narcissistic or caught up on some attachment issues, you want to make sure that they've done the work. Go to therapy, call me, right? But you can also say that I'm 22, meeting my partner at 23, I've graduated at 25, and I can look at marriage at 28 because I've done the work to kind of prepare the foundation for this house to be built upon. And that's more important to me. Like, I want to know that you're in a place where you can make decisions and be a leader and do what it takes to be successful in this marriage, because longevity is the key, right?
I feel that's a great last word.